So, Dr. Devender Singh, we once again welcome you. Namaskar.
Thank you audience, and thank you Piyush, thank you everyone.
Sir, since you have been an authority, in the introduction also I mentioned that, and how you have been working relentlessly on the Indian Constitution, both nationally as well as internationally, would you, from the very basic level, explain to our audience something about Dr. Ambedkar and his contributions? Dr. Ambedkar, the man, the legend?
Yes, of course, the man who gave a particular direction to this nation, and we have just commemorated his death anniversary.
Yes.
Okay, on 6th December.
Right.
And almost every leader across party, they appreciated his efforts, and they also commemorated his contributions to the nation. So he was a giant personality actually. And if you talk about Dr. Ambedkar, so everybody should know the making of Ambedkar, how he made himself, how he designed himself to serve this country. That is very important. So he was the 14th child of his parents, and he was born on 14th April, 1891. And his childhood, of course, up to 2-3 years, when his father was in the British Army, his father was a Subedar teacher. So he inculcated values in him, and he made him actually what he is today, and what we see him today. So Subedar Ramji Maloji Sakpal, his father's name, when he got retired, then in the British Army he could not get much pension, and unfortunately Ambedkar's mother also expired. So when he was around 4.5. So after the death of his mother and when his father got retired, they shifted somewhere else just to minimize the expenses of the family. But unfortunately they could not manage, and his brother Balram, he had to leave his studies. He had to sacrifice rather, that okay, let him go to school, okay, I'll do something else. And he sacrificed his studies, which he remembered throughout his life, his contribution of his brother. So finally his father shifted to Parel in Mumbai, and he wanted his son to be educated in a good school. Then he was sent to a school which is there in Mumbai, near Parel, and Elphinstone School actually. And he completed his schooling. But before that, there is an instance which I would like to tell the audience, that when he was in a school in Dapoli, so he met a teacher actually, and his teacher, he was very much affectionate to Dr. Ambedkar. Actually, he was Bhim Rao only. Okay. And he was Bhim Rao Ambedkar. Because Ambade was the village. Okay. So because he was facing discrimination right from the beginning, then his Brahmin teacher, okay, he said, Dr. Ambedkar, you are facing problem because of your name. So let me give my title to you. And he added Ambedkar. Okay. So then he became Bhim Rao Ambedkar. Otherwise he was Bhim Rao Ambedkar.
So from Ambedkar to Ambedkar.
Ambedkar to Ambedkar. This is the journey. So then when he was in school in Mumbai, Elphinstone School, then he requested the then King of Baroda, Sayaji Rao Gaikwad, to give him some financial aid, and he gave him fellowship. Okay, and he completed his schooling. Then in college also he was given fellowship by Shivaji Rao Gaikwad, but with a contract. Once you finish your college, you will serve the Baroda regime, of course on payment basis. Then he finished his college from same college, okay, and Elphinstone College in Mumbai, and he joined Baroda regime. But in 1913, when he joined the Baroda regime, then he faced so many things in the name of caste, in the name of social discrimination, and no minister was happy for him. Everybody was thinking that he should not be the part of the council of ministers. Then he was not getting also the accommodation in the Baroda regime because of his caste. Then he requested the king, kindly help me. Okay, what should I do? Then the king said that I'm going for a meeting for some important work to South. I'll come back and I'll think of you. But he said that I want to study again. Then the king said, okay, I'll give you the fellowship. So in those days, okay, 11.5 pound per month he gave the fellowship, and he was sent to Columbia University.
Yeah.
Where he completed his PhD, okay, and from Columbia, first masters, and then he also wrote dissertation. Okay, so he is the first Indian to write dissertation, to write PhD thesis on the account of Britishers. Okay. He actually evaluated it, that the money which you are using for India, you are telling the entire world that you are using this money for the welfare of this country, but no, this is wrong. You are not using this money. You are just cheating people, okay, and you are filling your treasure only. Then he first time challenged their policies, financial policies. After completing his degree from Columbia, there are many stories, but I'm telling you in short, he went to LSE, London School of Economics, for further studies. And in 1916 he went to London School of Economics, and he was the first Indian rather, who was invited by the grades in the reputed law school of UK, United Kingdom, the first Indian to be invited to join grades in at the bar of law.
Perhaps because of his scholarship? Yes, because he was a scholar.
And he proved his scholarship. He topped in his class and completed law from, and it is the grade in that has installed his portrait. Okay, and this portrait is among 20 people from across the world who did a lot for the humanity and for the entire world. He came back to India, and then he again joined Baroda regime because of the World War. He had to come back, and he joined Baroda regime as military secretary and started working for them. But again he faced discrimination. His father died during his services, and he tells us one instance that when I was serving the Baroda regime and I did not find the proper accommodation, then he had to change his identity. Okay, and with his pseudo identity, he went to a Parsi inn, and he told them that I am a Parsi, and then he found accommodation over there. But people later on discovered, and he was thrown out. When he was thrown out of Parsi inn, that was the day of transformation for Dr. Ambedkar. And he said, okay, I am fair in complexion, I am well educated, I am the minister of a regime. If I face all these problems, what will be the, what can we think of the common man? Absolutely. And what plight they are facing? So okay, he from that day onwards, okay, he started his journey as social reformer.
Right.
Okay, and there is a park in Baroda, okay, that is called Sayaji Bagh now, but earlier it was something else. Now it is called something else, but earlier it was Sayaji Bagh. It is called Sankalp Bhumi now. Okay, the government has given the name Sankalp Bhumi. So that day in that park he kept sitting, waiting for the train, and he resolved, took a sankalp that I'll from today onwards I'll work for this country, poor people of this country, and he did a lot after that. So there is a long history.
Sir, as the dictum popularly goes, adversities create great men. I think in the context of Dr. Ambedkar, it was quite clear because he had a troubled childhood, and despite the toughness of his life, he became so successful. But sir, also like a storyteller, you told us about how Dr. Ambedkar built himself. But would you now also tell us how Dr. Ambedkar contributed to build this nation, Bharat, that we know today? What is his contribution as a nation builder?
Exactly. We should know, and everybody should know. Okay, there were two types of people contributing to the nation and nation building freedom fighters who were fighting directly, whether violently or non-violently.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, there were two groups. Okay, and they wanted freedom of this country from British rule. There were other group of intellectuals, okay, contributing to the nation building in their own way.
Yes, everyone was.
Dr. Ambedkar belonged to the second group. Okay,
Hmm.
when he was in England, Lala Hardayal, okay, contacted him,
Hmm.
okay, and said, "Join my party, okay, and we will work together." He said, "No, my motive is not to shout,
Not
to
politics.
be political, not
Hmm.
politics. Okay, my work is to give boost to this nation intellectually, and I'll challenge the British rule." And he challenged in 1930 and 31 in the Round Table Conference, and he said, "Britishers, you cannot rule on us without our wish. Okay, so give us freedom." And then he compelled them to implement Government of India Act.
Hmm.
Okay, so 3-4 contributions I had, because there is a long history, but 3-4 contributions. Number one,
Hmm.
first contribution of Dr. Ambedkar as social reformer.
Hmm.
Second contribution of Dr. Ambedkar as the economist extraordinaire.
Hmm.
And
True.
third contribution for half the population of this country, means for women.
Hmm.
Okay, and fourth important contribution is the making of the Constitution of India and his dream of a new India. These 4 things we will talk about. So as social reformers, what he did, he faced untouchability, and in 1927, okay, he went to Mahad.
Hmm.
So Mahad is a place where there were a lot of people of his community, and they were not allowed to drink water, to take water from the public pond.
From the well.
From the, not well, but it was a pond actually.
Okay.
So he argued that a dog, a horse,
Hmm.
okay, and animals can drink water from the pond, and a man cannot touch. So this is something ridiculous.
True.
Okay, then he said, "Okay, I'll lead the revolution. I'll go there and I'll drink water. First, I'll drink water from that pond." 10,000 people followed him,
Hmm.
went to the pond, okay, drank water from the pond, and then other 10,000, but they were brutally attacked by people of that locality,
Of the upper caste.
upper caste.
Hmm.
Then he said to his men, "No, you will not retaliate.
Hmm.
Okay, this is not our purpose. We will lead our revolution non-violently." Then he went to the Bombay High Court and he won the battle, and he gave right to the people, right of water. And he gave a phrase in 1953. He gave a phrase, "Water is public property."
Hmm.
Okay, so the man who was not having water to drink and who was not allowed to drink water even from the public, even in school when he touched the pot, okay, then he was beaten up. Why did you touch the pot of water of the upper caste people? He was extremely thirsty. So that man gave the water policy to this country, and he is responsible. He gave 2 dams, okay, Son River Dam.
Hmm.
Son River Dam he gave, he actually made a water policy that water is flowing freely. Okay, so first we should collect it, use it, and then it should be used by the farmers. Then he also developed the grid, first grid of this country, national grid, and water was used in making electricity to run the turbines.
Hmm.
Okay, and he gave the first dam to this country. So as social reformers, he gave right to water. Second important is
As an
important thing.
economist.
Not as an economist. Second, as important work as social reformer.
Hmm.
Okay. The low caste people were not allowed to enter the temple.
Hmm.
Okay. So 1931. Okay, Kalaram temple revolution.
Hmm.
So he went to Kalaram, Nasik. Nasik is there is a statue of Lord Ram, which is in black in color.
Hmm.
Okay, so that is called Kalaram temple.
Okay.
And he said that we will enter the temple. This is all right.
Hmm.
And he also requested people that we will also pull the chariot of Rama. Okay,
Hmm.
so there was a convention there, and they used to pull the chariot during Navratraj.
Hmm.
Okay, so they agreed. But on this day when the chariot was to pull, they refused and they pulled themselves. Then he entered the temple, but again they were beaten up and he got injured, and he again asked his people not to retaliate.
Hmm.
Later on, they got right to enter the temple. two major reforms. As an economist, 75% of his personality is of an economist.
Yes,
Okay.
true.
He studied economics in Columbia. He also studied economics in London School of Economics.
He obtained his PhD also in economics.
PhD in economics. Problem of rupees, his thesis.
Yes,
Okay.
his thesis.
So, in this particular thesis, he talks about the account of the Britishers. Okay, he challenged their financial policy.
And he also envisioned the idea of the Reserve Bank
That
of India.
I'm coming on that.
Okay.
Coming on that. As an economist, the first thing he did was in 1926, Young Hilton Commission visited India. Okay, and he gave a presentation. Okay, on the basis of his presentation, 9 years later, like in 1935, Reserve Bank of India was
Created.
It was on his recommendations.
Awesome.
The person who was not having money in his pocket gave Reserve Bank of India to this country.
Absolutely.
Okay. Second thing, in 1942, he was invited to become the minister in the Viceroy Council. Okay, and among 9 people, he was one of them. And he was given the portfolio of labor. Okay, you are the labor minister, and 9 other charges. As labor minister, he wanted to bring economic reforms in the life of people. So what he did, he brought labor reforms. Before 1942, in this country, the work hours were not fixed. Okay, sometimes 12 hours, sometimes 14 hours a day for people. But he was the first person who proposed the bill 8 hours a day. Okay, and 48 hours a week. He was the first person. He also advocated of the insurance policy for the laborers. He also assured their right to protest. Okay, and he was the first person who advocated of equal wages for equal work. Women were paid less for the same work.
Yes.
Before he was the labor minister, but he made the rule and he ensured that women were also given the same wages, and that was done. In the Indo Mill of Mumbai, he was the first person to sit with the laborers as labor minister, and he ensured their right to protest. Okay. He also talked about the separate space, feeding space for women at workplace, and he ensured that. So as economist, he did labor reform. He also created Reserve Bank of India. He worked for the farmers. He worked on small holdings, large holdings, and he said people having small holdings cannot be charged the same tax. Okay, he ensured that. Many other things, but in short, he gave a new economic policy to this country.
Awesome, awesome. So you have very nicely summarized how, as a social reformer, as an economist, and how he also was playing an active role in the upliftment of women. So he's a great, I would say, advocate of social justice. Dr.
In
Ambedkar.
case of women particularly, for women empowerment, he is the champion of women empowerment.
Yes, true.
And his mother expired when he was a child, and even he was with his wife expired. Okay, because when he was abroad, she could not find enough resources to feed her or to feed the family. She fell victim of malnutrition and ultimately she expired. But he decided to work for women. In 1948, when he was the member of the Constituent Assembly, he drafted Hindu Code Bill.
Yes.
Okay, and he said women should have right on the property of father as well as husband.
Yes.
Women should have the right to education. The first man to advocate of right to education. Third, they should have the right to seek divorce. Okay, they should have right to cast their vote. One vote, one value given by Dr. Ambedkar. Okay, before the Constitution of India, women were not having right to cast their vote. Their husband used to cast their votes. One man, 2 votes. He ensured for them. Separate space, equal wages, equal work, everything he ensured. Even the maternity leave which our ladies, our women are given by Dr. Ambedkar. So he was the champion of women. In 1942, he was speaking in an assembly of women, okay, and he said, cleanliness is next to God. And the same thing emphasized by the Honorable Prime Minister. Okay, he said, if a woman, a mother is clean, the whole family will be clean. So he emphasized upon cleanliness. The first person to emphasize upon cleanliness. Okay, you should wear good clothes, clean clothes, take care of your child, so that you can be away from all infections, and your family can also be away from all infections.
True.
So he ensured all these rights for women. Of course, in 1951, Hindu Code Bill was rejected. Okay, the then Prime Minister said, Ambedkar, I'll get this bill passed. If it is not passed, I'll resign. Okay, resignation came in 1951 October, but of Dr. Ambedkar, not of the Prime Minister. So in a way, the then Prime Minister could not fulfill his promise. Okay, then he, on the same day he resigned. Look at the spirit of that person. If as law minister of this country, I cannot ensure the right of half the population of this country, women, I have no right to be at this position. He resigned on the same day and shifted to his different location, which was provided by the then king, okay, of Sirohi, okay, which is at 26 Alipur Road.
So not just by theory, but by also his praxis, he was a true.
He was true to his word.
Yes.
Okay, and finally, as constitution maker.
So that is very important. I believe the viewers would want to know his contribution as the chairman of the drafting committee, and it's the that's how Indian Constitution is known for.
Let me tell to the audience, there are certain good things. In 1931, Dr. Ambedkar got Ramsay Award. Okay, Ramsay was the Prime Minister of UK, and in the Round Table Conference, Dr. Ambedkar got the Communal Award, separate electoral for his community.
Separate electorates, yes.
So what Gandhiji thought that time, that Ambedkar, if implements this policy, the nation will go to a different direction, and later on there can be division of the country. Then he set on hunger strike till death, and the British government then arrested him and put him behind bars in the Yarwada jail of Pune. Then when he was not, his health started deteriorating, Ambedkar went to him, Gandhiji, what do you want? Okay, please let me know. I don't want you to die because of my policies or my demands. Then he said, okay, you meet Madan Mohan Malviya. They both sat together, okay, discussed, and he signed what Gandhiji wanted.
It was forced.
People say they were having differences, okay, and they quote an interview of Dr. Ambedkar on BBC. Okay, I don't consider him Mahatma. Okay,
he says that.
We need to know what was in his mind right from the beginning. His teacher gave him a book, Buddha and his Charitra. Okay, so from that day onwards, from 10th class onwards in 1908, okay, he started considering Buddha as Mahatma. And he used to say, in my definition of Mahatma, only Buddha fits in. I don't consider any other person as Mahatma. Of course, he may be Mahatma for other people, but for me, only Buddha is Mahatma. That was the reason which people. In 1947, okay, when people started writing constitution, okay, Nehru, the then Prime Minister, was in a mood to hire experts from the foreign countries. Okay, then Gandhiji came forward and said, no, if we have Dr. Ambedkar, why should we hire the experts from other countries?
Yes.
And he was invited, and he was made the member, and on the next day he was made the chairman of the drafting committee. And he wrote the Constitution of India.
So are you suggesting that it was on Mahatma Gandhi's?
It was Gandhiji.
It was his idea.
His idea, actually Gandhi's idea, to give him this Herculean task. Okay?
And he performed it so well?
Performed excellently, okay, diligently, worked hard for almost 3 years, okay, and he made a document which is unique, created a document which is unique in this country.
True.
Okay, so I always call or tell people that there are two engineers of this country, two engineers. One hardware, which is Patel Sahab, okay, connected all the pieces and made a country.
Yeah.
Okay, and he loaded the software, Dr. Ambedkar, that is constitution that runs the country. So there are two engineers, great engineers of this country. Okay, across party line, across ideologies, they work for the country, they lived for the country, died for the country. Dr. Ambedkar used to say, "I'm Indian first, Indian last." Okay,
Yes.
Many countries gave him offer. Dr. Ambedkar, come, study here, teach our people. He said, "No, I'm Indian. I will remain in my country. I cannot leave my country. If this country has given me a lot, I owe debt to this country. I'll repay everything." And he did it. Okay, till he died on December 6, 1956. He did it. So, apart from all differences, okay, Gandhiji was the person who proposed his name as the constitution writer. Now, what was the spirit of Dr. Ambedkar and his team in writing what type of country they wanted? Okay, so first thing which was there in his mind was to abolish untouchability. Okay, everybody should be having equal rights. So, Article 14. Okay, he poured his spirit in Article 14, abolished untouchability, made it illegal, okay, and ensured all fundamental rights of people from Article 14 to 32. He gave us fundamental rights. But his spirit to unite this nation, and what Patel Sahab did, he wanted that this country should be united, okay, and there should be no division, further division of this country in future. He wanted to ensure that. In the first article, he did it, Article 1 of the Constitution of India, and he writes, "India, that is Bharat, shall be the union of states." There were many objections, okay, and one Maulana of that Constituent Assembly, member of Constituent Assembly, he said, "We can have the name like sovereign democratic state, okay, or sovereign democratic country. Why shouldn't we have these names?" He rejected. No. Sovereign democratic state can have different implications. And he said, "I have two objections. Okay, one, if you give sovereignty to our states, okay, then every sovereign state will demand separation later on. So I don't want to give it this name." Then, of course, there were many other people who supported. But H.V. Kamath sir, he also brought some amendments and said we should add federal states of India. We should also add federal, he gave states a name as Pranta, okay, federal Pranta of India. Then he rejected, "No, I don't rely on the federal structure." And somebody also objected on the union word. Then he said, "Okay, look at the Australian Constitution and look at the definite article affixed, okay, before this union." And then he said, "I want to make India a country where all small states and small countries can have the facility to come and join India as the part of its union. I don't want them to exit at any point. So I don't want to give them exit facility. That's why it will be a union of these states. I want Akhand Bharat." So he was a full nationalist. He was a nationalist who never wanted India to be divided. That was the spirit, and he did it.
Absolutely. Indian first and Indian last. That was Dr. Ambedkar's spirit. So, sir, I think in this podcast you have very nicely discussed how Ambedkar, how he built himself, how he built his nation, right, Bharat, how he also built the Bharatiya Samvidhan, And as a law minister also, you defined some of his ideas and how he has worked relentlessly. So I think, and also you also talked about the Ambedkar Gandhi, argument which was there, which the readers would definitely want to know. These are different perspectives which remain hidden somehow or the other from us. But so thank you so much, sir, for this beautiful podcast. I hope to see you again. I'm very sure the viewers would want to, meet Dr. Devender Singh once again and look forward to more of his ideas on Bharatiya Samvidhan, Dr. Ambedkar's role, and so on and so forth. It was great to have you here, sir. I thank you all.
Thank you very much. And it was a not complete, actually, my complete observation on the Constitution of India and Dr. Ambedkar. But Dr. Ambedkar and the Constitution of India, they are portions, okay? Okay, dive deep and you will find so many other things. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. We will welcome you again to Hansraj e-Samvaad.
Thank you. Namaste.
So, we are done with the podcast on Bharatiya Samvidhan, Indian Constitution, Dr. BR Ambedkar with Dr. Devender Singh. Thank you so much for joining in at Hansraj e-Samvaad. Please share this video with others, and I'll see you very soon in the next episode with Dr. Devender Singh again. Thank you. Goodbye. Jai Hind.